What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Black American channel of the free and the brave. Now, today we are going to hop right into DEI. That's right, diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're going to go onto a college campus and I'm going to dissect a debate between a student and the individual who came and set up this debate forum. Now, before we get into it, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down in the comment section so we can have a conversation. Without further ado, let's get into it.
So there's a sign that says DEI is racist, and I want you to elaborate on that because I'm a little confused.
Yeah, so essentially DEI basically tells people that your skin color, your immutable characteristics about you are more important than your character and your merit. Would you agree with that? What do you think is...
Now, before she gets into it, I'm going to tell you that we as Black people, we grow up with our Blackness being the center of our being. Let me dive a little bit deeper into that because we're taught we are where we are as far as financially, where we live, things we can't control due to our skin color and a lot of the atrocities in our past. And essentially moving forward is going to be affected by outside stimuli as well. I hate that about us. And I realize that Republicans are the ones who actually see people by their merit and not by their skin color. Now, I'm sure she's going to go into a description of things I just said. Let's check it out.
It's more important, you being your race or
I think me being a Black woman is important to who I am.
Okay, but what's more important?
Me being a Black woman.
Than your merit, the things you've done in your life.
I feel like they both correlate
Well,
with each other.
Which one do you think is more important? Your race or the things you've done in your life, your character?
The things I've done in my life or my race. Both correlate to each other because the things I have done in my life are because of my race, because I am a Black woman.
That's not answering the question. Well, it's not answering the question based on what you're saying DEI is. Right? So DEI is basically saying that your race and your characteristics about you that are immutable, that you can't change, are more important than your merit and your character. So I'm asking you which one you think is more important. Your character and your accomplishments and your merit, or your race.
And I'm saying that because I am a Black woman.
You see, it's hard for her to separate being a human being and being Black. Let me tell you how this is detrimental, because it builds a tribal effect to the point where we celebrate or take up for unsavory, depraved individuals of our community just because they share the same amount of melanin that we do. Prime example, George Floyd. Prime example, Trayvon Martin. And we need to separate ourselves from that. Just because somebody, quote unquote, looks like you does not mean they deserve the same amount of representation. They do not need to be all respected in the same way, because everybody has different levels of dignity, respect, merit. And that should transcend beyond your skin color.
What I have endured ties into my accomplishments in life. So I'm confused on your question.
It's a very simple question. It's just one or the other. Because that's what the colleges or your jobs or these kind of things are looking at, right?
It's both.
It can't be both, because that's not what DEI says. DEI basically says that regardless of your merit, affirmative action, you might have the same test scores. I mean, this is what happened in the Harvard case where Harvard got sued, because even though Asians were scoring 300 points better than Black people on the SATs, they weren't getting in, the Black people were getting in. Why does that make any sense? If they have equal merit or if they have higher merit, but because they're not Black. Is that fair?
Yes, but that's why we have DEI.
That is fair.
Yeah, that's why we have
Why
DEI.
is that fair? Why is it fair that an Asian person who does better than a black person on a test doesn't get in just because they're Asian? How is
So it's not fair. And I want to say, black people, listen up. You do not correct racism with racism. Let me say that again. You do not correct racism with racism. Okay, yes, I get it. We weren't allowed into white colleges, since that's the particular topic we're on. For a long time, we had to create our own colleges, things of that nature, educate ourselves, which was not even a problem. But once affirmative action came in, and DEI is only affirmative action, it's just the same thing with a different name, honestly. There's no reason that people scoring 300 points higher than you are being denied access or acceptance into a university because they just so happen not to be the same race. That is clear cut racism. And the only thing that's going to do is slowly but surely create a group of people that are going to uproar and revolt eventually. Just how black people did with the civil rights movement. So when we want to have equality, we have to have actual equality. You cannot create initiatives that give you the upper hand, because now you're being given things you don't deserve, and people can see that. And they will eventually react to it. And that's just what happened with the Asian students at Harvard. And that's why Harvard had to get rid of their DEI initiative, because it was point blank, period, racist. And how do you gain respect when you're given something you don't deserve? When black people get into Harvard, they get into University of Texas, Stanford, Duke, whatever the college may be, you're going to have non-blacks looking at them and wondering, do they deserve it? What were their scores? And then a lot of times we don't deserve it. I remember when I went to Baylor. Now, I was a student athlete. I had a full ride. But the non-athletes would always, talk trash. You wouldn't be here if you couldn't play a sport. True. Facts. Maybe I could have been in because I was a little academically advanced, but I don't know. Most of the athletes, no way. At least no scenario, because the people into these colleges that don't deserve to be there. They're bringing down graduation rates, because many of these students are not mentally capable of actually even being there, so they can't do the work. And as someone that may have gotten into a place through DEI, you should be thinking whether or not you deserve to be there through merit. Because once you level the playing fields and no one has the upper hand, then it's all on you. So that way you will know if you got into that college, you actually deserve to be there. I saw a video of a black doctor one day, and he was so depressed. He had so much anxiety because he didn't know whether or not he was actually good enough to be a doctor because of affirmative action. Let's keep going.
Is that fair?
Doesn't get in because they're Asian.
Yes.
But Asian is included in DEI.
Oh, Asians are the most successful group. They're not included in DEI. That's why the whole thing happened with the lawsuit.
No, but they are.
The DEI happens with Black, Hispanic, Indian, basically.
And Asian.
What I'm saying is the lawsuit happened where Asians were scoring higher.
The lawsuit happened. That's not into the entirety of DEI, though.
That is what DEI represents.
DEI
represents affirmative action, which says that we are giving people like you a leg up over other people despite their merit or character because of the color of their skin,
because
their
they didn't
gender,
want
or
to
their
take us
sexuality.
before.
What do you mean they don't want to take you
They
before?
didn't want to take us before because of our skin color, right?
Who didn't want to take you before?
They didn't want to give jobs to black people or Hispanic people.
Who didn't want to give jobs to black people?
The white people.
Since when?
Since when?
Since when?
Since slavery.
Since slavery.
Since slavery. This is the problem.
So you're saying that something that happened
slavery.
150 years ago has made it so that you need to have a leg up now?
Yes.
So the same for the Irish? The Asians, Chinese people went through some of the...
Now, on this particular issue right here, I do see a point that she's saying that, white people didn't want to hire black people. We've definitely had a racist history as black people. Well, white people have had the racist history towards black people. And, there have been times where you just didn't have a chance of getting certain jobs if you were black. So in kind of a way, I do agree slightly with affirmative action the first time around. It kind of catapulted and was a catalyst to desegregating the workforce. But I do understand the white grievances of assimilating with blacks who may not have been capable or competent enough for certain positions. Because when you do things like that, quality goes down, productivity goes down. A lot of things go down and makes the business less efficient. But like I said, I do kind of see her point because black people have had a hard time in this country. But today, in today's world, a lot of things have been fixed. And most of, if not all of the responsibility at this point lies on the backs of black people and how they are going to move forward. Because we can do any and everything we want to do today. We literally have every single thing we have been fighting for. But you still have people who don't understand and people who still have the victim mindset, the victim mindhood, and are going to go out here, half-ass it, don't dress right to interviews, don't dress right in public in general, have not mastered the English language, can't read, can't write, and they are going to go out here and say, it's the white man's fault. No, sometimes it's your fault. I was once, I would say, irresponsible. I wasn't a complete degenerate or anything like that, but I was irresponsible, blew money, things of that nature. And I came to a certain point in life and I realized no one's going to come save me. I have to do this on my own. I dressed right, started speaking well. I always spoke well, but I just realized things that I had to do and I had to go out and get it and I had to make it myself. Everything changed professionally, socially, romantically, and it was all up to me. Credit score hopped up until 820, I believe was the highest, coming from like 400, 500. And I mean, like in a year and a half, 2 years, you can make this change. White people ain't holding you back, and you don't need DEI. You don't need anything. Because when people see you have what it takes, no matter if it's a job, if you're offering a service, you have a business, whatever the case may be, if people see that you have the goods and you know how to dress, conduct yourself, speak, and handle business, they will give you their business and they don't give a damn how dark your skin color is.
6 years ago,
there was the Chinese Exclusion Act here in California that happened in this country. And now Chinese people are doing better than white people in this country. They had the exact same things that happened essentially with this discrimination and things going on as black people in this country. And yet they are surpassing black people, white people even, in so many different areas.
And that's
and why are they
for
doing
them.
that?
Well, what about the people who are still being oppressed.
Who are those people?
The Black people.
So what can you do that I can't do?
What can you're saying? What can I do that you can't?
You're Black. I'm white. What can you do that I can't do? Or what can I do that you can't do?
Well,
all right, I'm over it. This young lady has severe case of victim mindset, victimhood, victim. The Black people being oppressed. Oh my God. We live in the hood and the white man and this and that. Like, listen, I get it. Like I said before, there have been so many atrocities. We've had the slavery, the Jim Crow laws, the loitering laws, the redlining, KKK after us. All democratic policies, by the way, all of them. But today, we just got to focus. We got to focus back on family, because before the 70s, we were married at an 85% rate, highest in the entire country. We self-educated. We had our own schools, our own colleges. We had our own newspapers, bus lines. We had our own towns, businesses. And now the single parent rate is through the roof. I remember reading an article that said Black, I believe it was in the 60s, maybe 70s, that the Black single parent rate was at 25%, and we called it a crisis. It is at 75% today. It is beyond crisis levels. And what are we even doing about it? Our kids can't read, can't do math when they graduate high school. We are the most illiterate group of people. IQ average is 85. White people's IQ average is 100. Asians is 110. Can we improve our IQs? That may help. Can we put a mirror to ourselves and realize we need to work on us? We don't need anything. We always talk about how resilient we are. But yet we go and beg for things from the same government we claim that oppressed us. How does that make any sense? Let's think about it. DEI, we don't need it. Studies came out that it only helps white women. But we're fighting for it. For who? For them? We got mad and boycotted Target because Target doesn't want DEI. They want to give everybody a level playing field. Boycott? You boycotting equality? Make that shit make sense. Because it doesn't. Let's have a conversation. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down in the comment section so we can have a conversation. Do you think DEI is needed? Who does it help? Who does it hurt? Let me know down below. Until next time, this is the Black American channel of the free and the brave.